Hi, beautiful souls. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Ange. Namaste. My name is Sadhana. For those of you that don't know me, I'm from Canada. I live in the West Coast, a little bit near Vancouver, British Columbia. And yeah, so every Thursday night I'm on talking about tarot and various things. Tarot, sometimes bumping my laptop, other times not. Hi, YOLO. Nice to have you here. So welcome. I'm doing well, YOLO. I'm excited to be here. I feel like I have been on the computer a lot today. I've watched a few different people's lives, but I've been outside, had a gorgeous day. I did a little bit of yard work, and yeah, we're really enjoying an amazing spring here. So how are you doing? What's happening with you guys? Angeline Marie, hello. Yeah, so how are you? What are you guys up to? What are you doing? Are you spending a lot of time on YouTube, or are you back to work, or what's happening in your lives? I'm curious. I know I hear a lot about what's going on in the UK, but not so much in other parts of the world. So yeah. Tonight, what are we going to do tonight? So I am going to sort of stick with the court card theme, and I think tonight will be the last sort of court cardy theme that we're going to have. And tonight we're going to talk specifically about this deck here, the Next World Tarot. This is the mini version. I think it's called the pocket version. It is a little deck. I wanted to show you just how little it is. What is the most normal size deck here? So this is, and okay, so my glasses are going to drive me absolutely crazy tonight because I have stepped on two pairs of readers, two of my favorite pairs. I'm doing yoga in my living room on Zoom and YouTube, and my carpet is multicolored. And so I have either knelt on with my full body weight or stepped on two pairs of glasses. So these ones are a little bit loose, and they're going to be flopping up and down, up and down. So Ange is working from home and visiting YouTube chats. And Angeline says she's still working and been working right through all this stuff. Wow. Yeah, so some people are out in the real world and other people's are not. So yeah, it's a cute little size, isn't it? So that's the size of the deck. So the card that is behind is from the Slow Tarot, and it is a standard tarot size. And this is the size of the Pocket New World. I do not have, is it New World? Next World. Sorry, Next World. I don't have the original large cards. I wasn't in on that, and I didn't order the large version. It's quite expensive. And one of the nice things about the new version of the deck is that it is it's matte, so it's not shiny. It's going to photograph really well. And so yeah, so I'm going to go through the deck. Hi, Patrice. Hi, Jen. Welcome, everybody. So I thought I would go through the cards, and then I thought we could have a little bit of a showdown and go through the 16 court cards in a bunch of different contemporary diverse decks, and then kind of have a vote about which decks are really speaking to you. It's so funny. I've got the YouTube chat over there, and it's going quite quickly, and this one here on StreamYard is not showing up, so maybe I'll just pop over here. I'm going to go over here, see what's going on. So weird, the timing of all of these things. Okay. I don't pretend to understand technology at all. Alrighty. So how many of you have this deck? And I'm going to hold the cards here so you can still see my face and I can still see the chat. And one of the things I thought was really cool in this card was, I'm just going to move my mouse. YouTube was down earlier too. Hi, Corvin. Nice to have you here. I don't think you've been on one of my chats before. On top of the Yonkers sign is red ink, and it says nowhere. Yeah, so I'm going to go there. So how many of you have this deck? It's definitely a feminine deck for sure. There's a majority of the figures are women. I think I can go a little closer. And I closed the blinds tonight, so I'm hoping that you can actually, Patrice says the full size, see. It's really quite an empowering deck. And there is some nudity in the deck, so close your eyes or stop watching if that offends you in any way. Yeah, Jen says she likes the astrology signs. So one of the features of this deck, if you can see like in the bottom corner here, so for the teacher, which is this is a great card. So the Emperor, not the Emperor, sorry, the Hierophant is fire, Aries in Mars. And so if you are learning astrology or working with astrology, this is kind of cool. Are these focusing? I can't tell because I've got these weird glasses on. Love, love, love. Oh, so I'm a little confused here. That wasn't the Hierophant. The teacher. Oh, this is really interesting. So that's the Emperor card. Is the teacher. And then the messenger is the Hierophant. Wow. So I said that I was going to do a few readings with this deck this week, but I haven't done it yet. I'm just really, I've had a really busy week and I haven't got to know the deck yet. Lovers. I've seen this Chariot card multiple times. So this woman with so much attitude. Come on, camera, focus. Yeah. The Strength card is really kind of something. And it looks like, I don't know, it looks like somebody in my family really kind of dedicated to the plants and focusing and determined to master that green thumb. Corbin says it's focusing just fine. That's good. It's partly, so I don't know if you heard, but I've stepped on 2 pairs of glasses this week. So these ones are a little large and they flop up and down and they're also very, very scratched. So this Hermit is really kind of cool. And I've closed the blinds as well too, so we don't have to wrestle with the, sorry, I shouldn't be staring at them. This is the Wheel, which is really interesting. And did I say this already? These are matte, which is really nice, and they're not sticking together at all. So sometimes when you get, new decks, they're really sticky and hard to sort and shuffle. And look at the Hanged Man. The Hanged Man is called Suspension. And it has really interesting colors too that I would not expect. Like it has those ballet colors, that ballet energy. And I love that the dancer's toe is on the moon. Look, I'm going to show you this way. It's really kind of cool. Now I've got these all one way up and then the other. And she's got a parasol in the Death card. And I don't know, like I didn't realize this deck was so like apocalyptic. A lot of the cards are very, yeah, it's like post-apocalypse. So it definitely is the next world. And how I feel like this is a deck that asks us or reminds us that we have, like this Tower card is just so brilliant. You know, it reminds us to ask ourselves about the decisions that we're making. Parasol protection oneself with changes coming. Yeah, I'm really intrigued. And then, ooh, let's look at the Star with Temperance. Were there two? No. So that's quite a different mood, hey? Temperance and the Star. I don't know if Amber is growling or she's dreaming. She's snoring really loud. And here's the moon. It's kind of that's a beautiful moon card. Hi, Shuffle Tarot. Yes, this is the pocket edition, and it is matte, and it's really lovely. Here is the Sun card. So how many of you have this deck? Jen says, I don't think I've ever seen this deck. Yeah, it's really, and the book. I'm going to read you a few things from the book because the beginning of the book has got some beautiful statements. And then here is the world. Oh, the ace. I should show you the aces. The aces are gorgeous. That's the world card. I love that the wrap, the sarong, whatever you want to call it, that he has around him. And just the way the symbols in the corners are drawn, it's so gorgeous. I think that I might actually order the bigger cards to study it, because there's a lot that goes on in all of the drawings. And I went, look what I got. I've recently bought this magnifying glass because I find sometimes in a lot of the artwork, do you remember when I was going through the slow tarot and then I found on that art gallery website, you could go in and zoom in a lot on each of the pictures? Well, that was the saving grace. But so now I actually went and bought myself an old lady magnifying glass. That's the Ace of Wands. Isn't that gorgeous? With the ace, the roots of fire. I'm really kind of taken with that. And then I'll show you the other aces because we're going to focus on the court cards again tonight. So I think this is a cut of the lotus root just by looking at the way that it's cut across. You know, when you cut lotus, yeah. And where's the other? So that was the Ace of Cups. Oh, the Ace of Swords. Look at this one. So it's a multi-function tool. So we have roots of action, roots of water, roots of fire. So she's used the keyword action for swords. And pentacles is crystals, roots of the earth, which is a really pretty card. So yeah, Corvin, don't you? I find that in a lot of cards, I really need to kind of dive into the, like, I need a magnifying glass to go into the details. So I should have put up a poll for tonight because I started pulling out decks and I was thinking, well, what decks should we compare to the Next World Tarot? And I put a list in the description box below, and all of the decks that are in the description box below I have here on my table, and I've pulled out the court cards. But I thought it might be really interesting to just kind of see, because these deck creators we want to compare apples and apples. Like, I don't think it's fair to compare apples and oranges, because I have an old-fashioned magnifying glass with me, as I have a hard time with what print? I don't know what print. Oh, small print, probably. Like, I think it's important to compare apples with apples and oranges with oranges. Like in Poppy's deck, the pages are all really young. And so I don't think we can compare these court cards, right? You can't. Maybe the knights we can, because she has chosen to draw the pages really young. So you can't really compare this page of wands with this page of wands. They are, they're two completely different. It's a completely different approach. So I think for that deck, I can't really do that. And the same with the slow tarot, even though it's kind of contemporary and diverse, it's really challenging. So let's go to, we can look at the numinous, which I have. I think one of the closest decks is the Urban Tarot. So in the Urban Tarot, she calls these princess, sorry, I shouldn't say she, they, Robin calls them princesses. Am I right? Yes. So this is the Princess of Wands, who is a burlesque dancer. And so we have this real kind of wild energy. Sorry, this is the Next World Tarot, the pocket edition. And so I think that is really important. Completely different energy in This Might Hurt, which brings in that creative energy of the page of wands, right? And with the numinous, look, we got here. Again, very kind of creative, spiritual energy is being developed. What else do I have on the table here? Can't really compare that one. And that one's too young. So I think if we're going to compare apples and apples, the closest we can kind of do with diverse contemporary decks is to kind of look at these 4 page of wands. But sometimes I don't think that we have to kind of take decks at their own level and at their own intention, because there is it's a very, very, very specific intention behind some of these decks. Let's go to this opening. I just want to read you a couple of these. So this is the guidebook from the Next World. And Cristy dives in and says, these are some of the tenets of this deck. When we're up, the system wants to tear us down. When we're down, we sink in an act of resistance or self-preservation that comes from the horror of exhaustion. How do we hold each other up in a world where oppression can be louder than self-love? The comments are doing something weird. I'm going to go over. Okay. Sorry, I'm having trouble with the comments tonight. I don't really know what's going on. The Next World Tarot is a tool for magic. Magic is essential for the head to reach the feet and for the feet to truly feel the earth, the sun, the trees, the ground, and the elements that much of humanity has taken for granted. I mean, there's so many of these, but I'm not going to read them all to you. I'll read you one more. The next world is a threshold between humans and ghosts, where the spirits of our guides are sparkling behind us when we are at war. Ooh, that's kind of brilliant. I don't know if Cristy is cross-gender or a she or a they. I'm not sure what their gender is. The next world is self-care as a right. The next world is reviewing our definitions of gender and respecting those of others. So I think it's a really bold, very, very bold deck. So let's look at some of these court cards. I showed you that one. The home of expression. So the pages are all called home, the home of. So you saw the home of fire. Here is the home of expression. So there's a real vulnerability to this, this card. And one of the things I like about this card is it seems as if the plant is beginning to connect and grow up with the body, with the person. Corbin says Cristy uses she, her pronouns. Okay, good to know. And this one's my favorite. I love this one. It's like, all right, let's just cut through the chain link fence and get on with it. Right? Oh, so that is the home of action. I find that really interesting that that is her main keyword for the suit of swords. And this page of pentacles, I'm going to show you because this one reminds me of just have a look here. Page of Pentacles. So this is some kind of a creative shop. There's lots going on the desk. And there's a little piece of me that wants to say something about, do any of you guys have the Pagan Tarot? Because not a lot of people talk about that tarot. And I think that is, oh, which one am I thinking of? It's a deck that really also that opens a lot of questions in a lot of different ways. Okay, Page of Pentacles. What am I thinking of? This card reminds me of another deck, and I can't think which one it is. The Home of Ideas. So in this one, the Page of Pentacles is a kindergarten teacher. This is the urban. And what do we have here? Yeah, and I think that for the most part, this might hurt can be very Rider-Waite-Smith, right? So this doesn't really tap into the energy of these other decks that I have here on the table. So let's go to the Knights, because I think across a lot of these decks, we can compare the Knights, because the Knights are pretty active and a lot more mature in a lot of these decks. Here's a Knight of Swords. So maybe we'll do a little showdown for the Knights, because here's the Knight of Pentacles on the bicycle. So the slower mode of transport. And so that was the escape plan. This one is the methodical approach. The fire starter. That's not necessarily a positive association. And here's the love song. That's really kind of interesting. Okay. So we were joking a couple of weeks ago about decks with knights on motorcycles or cars or different things, and how many decks I had with knights on motorcycles and so forth. So let's just see what we got here. So Knight of Wands. What do you think? Oh, sorry, guys. So Knight of Wands. Knight of Wands. Just give me 1 second here. Cups. This deck goes in a whole other direction. So it's got the Knight of Wands as a journalist. I don't know. I think, I feel more lost than ever than in the last couple of weeks, because these are all going in such very different energetic directions. Here's the Knight of Candles in the Numinous, I believe on a bike. I feel Corbin's shuffling this slow right now. I feel, you know what I mean? Like we were going through kind of the energy of all of these decks, and not these decks, other decks, trying to really dive deep into what were the basic, not basic. We went to a lot of different levels of energies behind the principles of these 16 court cards. And I kind of feel now in these contemporary decks, we have so many other layers. So here's the Knight of Cups playing music in the subway. And here's Knight of Cups as a film director. I feel like yeah, I don't know. Like, what do you think? Like how many of you work with and use these contemporary style decks? And do you use them in a different way than you use another deck? Because it's like, I thought that in pulling these out, we might be able to come across more similar energies. So here is Knight of Wands in This Might Hurt. So here we go. This one kind of goes together. So Knight of Wands, Knight of Wands, Knight of Wands, Knight of Wands, fire starter. Okay, so maybe these four kind of have that similar energy. I don't know. It's kind of confusing. Kind of getting all mixed up here. Oh, thanks. Yeah, so when I trimmed my everyday enchantment, I really kind of like the colored borders on the cards, and I didn't want to, completely lose them. So, and then here's the other one. There's Knight of Blades, which we haven't looked at, as the kind of the hairstylist. She doesn't look too happy about her haircut. And we saw a Knight of Cups. Okay. I don't know. Help me out here, you guys. What do you think? So in the princess, 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 princess. So in the urban tarot, they're referred to as princess and prince for the first two courts. And here is the Prince of Swords here as the hacker. And what has she got as the Knight of Swords in this deck that we're looking at? That's Page. The escape plan. Ange is a hairstylist many years ago and been there, laugh out loud. Okay, so here's my question. Do you get, or can you get, a similar energy with the hacker and the escape plan? Is it going to, like, you know what I mean? Like when I'm looking at a deck and when I'm choosing a deck, I want to know at some fundamental level that I'm going to understand what's happening in the cards. And the degree of artistic license isn't going to throw me off so much that I can't work with the deck. Right? So every deck I pick up, there is a certain degree of, okay, I get that. I understand that. So we saw the Knight of Swords. Or do you feel that we should just take every single deck at its own level, and every single deck has its own vibe, its own energy? So I think that's what I'm kind of working on. So Ange says both the hacker and the knight on the car are thinking of a plan. Okay. So let's have a look at the queens. So here's the 4 queens in the next world. Hi, Michelle. All right. So I'll just give you a glimpse of these 4 queens. And then we'll kind of look at some of the other queens here. So these are the 4 queens in the next world. Kind of love that. Queen of Wands. And you'll notice we have 3 feminine and 1 that's more masculine energy. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Let's just look here. So in Poppy's deck, they're all feminine energy. Numinous. So Numinous calls them creators. So let's look at the 4 creators. So the 4 creators are masculine, feminine, feminine, feminine. So again, 1 masculine, 3 feminine. Oh, where's my textured tarot? I brought that out tonight too. Textured tarot, where are you? Okay. Problem of getting too many cards on the table. Because this is one of the very first decks that, it's in the King. So some of the Kings have more feminine energy, but in textured, they are all feminine energy. So when we're looking at decks of diversity, does it matter, or does it throw you off if the queens or the kings are not if the queens are not female and the kings are not male? So let's look at this one. Feminine, 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 feminine. Kings are masculine, 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 masculine. So Robin has defined it. So in the Urban Tarot, I'll show you the queens. Here's the Queen of Pentacles. Queen of Swords is a painter. Love this one. This one's my favorite. This is the Queen of Cups as a therapist. And I love that she's so old and so wise. And I've shown you this one many times. We've talked about this one. This is the Queen of Wands as the public defender. So, hi, Brenda. So, yeah, so I'm curious. I'm curious. So there's those four. Oh, God. I can't release. There we go. I can see now. I'm just curious because when I was looking at, so in the texture, like here's the King of Wands, very androgynous, slightly feminine energy. And so I just want to, like, not passing any kind of judgment. I'm talking about the ease of reading the deck. So are you able to work with the energy regardless of the gender? Because one of the things that I've been teaching and one of the things that I've been repeating over and over and over through this last 6 or 7 weeks is that these 16 court cards represent 16 aspects of self, of ourself. And as they come up in a reading and we are trying to figure out what this is reflecting back, to me, it doesn't matter whether, oh yeah, that's referring to Uncle Sam who's been hanging around the house and reflecting all of this back to me. It doesn't really matter whether it's Uncle Sam or your sister or whoever it is. It's about an aspect of your own internal energy. So I'm just throwing these questions out there because I'm curious about what it stirs up in you when cards are painted in different ways. Right? Because they get, I think, okay, so here's perhaps the problem. They get too specific. So here is the Queen of Wands as a conductor or as a conductrice. So we have the leader. We have the powerful, creative energy. We have the passion and the fire of the music. But we have a very specific situation. And so maybe what I'm getting at is, on one hand, having a very specific delineation of the energy of the card might help. But on the other hand, it might just be so limiting that you forget everything that you already know about that particular court card. So that's kind of what I'm wondering. And so when we spent a lot of time trying to debunk the King of Cups. And in the Urban Tarot, Robin paints him as, you know, with the alcohol, the cocktails, the sweet talker at the bar, and definitely more on the shadow side. So this one, and then I'm going to go pull out the one that was really upsetting people, was the one from the slow, because I don't know if I think we've talked about this one a couple of times. Why the green sludgy water and this guy leaning back in this chair kind of with this real attitude on his face? You know, what is this about? And if you have the Sasaribito, how many of you have? So I'll just talk about it. So in the Sasaribito, the King of Cups is this really sweet older man who's holding a cup, and it's beautiful energy. But here we have this really kind of slimy, slimy energy, like that slimy water. So my next question is this. If you're doing a reading for yourself or somebody else, and you decide, okay, today I'm going to take these 4 decks, I'm going to work with these 4 decks, and you do your readings, and it's like, yeah, that's the message that I needed. I chose these decks because that's the kind of energy I needed for the readings today. So yeah, I'd really like you guys to let me know what you think of these decks, and are they limiting? Are they expansive? Do you use them? Do you not use them? Corvin says, isn't that the great thing about these decks, though, that they are one creator's interpretation of the cards? It's why I like to collect decks, to see so many different interpretations or visions. Yeah. So are all decks for reading? And okay, so here's a really good example. So I love this Rasti King of Cups in the textured tarot. Right? So how, I mean, you guys aren't beginners, most of you. I'm not a beginner, right? So Rasti King, the seducer. How does it make you feel? So Ange says they're not limiting. I find them expansive and could tap in intuitively. Okay, so yeah, so I'm just trying to, get you thinking and get you, because I know how many times I have, so let's say I'm going to work at the store. I'm going to go do readings at the store. And sometimes I pack my bag the night before. Sometimes I pack it very quickly just before I go out the door. And I take anywhere from, I would say, 6 to 10 tarot decks and 2 or 3 oracle decks. And it never fails to amaze me that the day that I chose this particular deck is the day that that particular person strolls into the store for a reading, and this deck has the perfect message. So it's almost, to me, like the decks have their own energy, and the more you get to know them and the more you work with them, the like they take on this life of their own. Jen says, I'm going to go back here. Different facets of the same card, different possible expressions of that card's possibilities. And then Jen says, for me, it's important. The courts show an aspect of the original meaning, but I love using intuition when they are displayed with unique artwork. Okay. Oh, Z, hi. I missed the cricket thing. I don't know what the cricket thing is about. So let's go to the kings in the next world. So this is one of those decks that does have a little bit of disability featured in the deck. So this one is the Throne of Movement. The Throne of Movement. Ooh, let's compare that one. Oh, that's Cups. Okay, so Queen of Cups is disabled in this one. I don't like that word, disabled. I don't know, what is the most politically, so here's the Queen of Cups in the wheelchair. Here's the King of Cups in a wheelchair. What is the most universally kind, thoughtful, empathetic, and what's the best word? I'm disabled, and every disabled person I know prefers to call ourselves disabled, differently abled. So in this deck, we also have the King of Swords with a prosthetic leg. But so this next world also is inclusive of that. And then the other three kings, here we go. We'll show you the other three kings. This one is really cool. I'm pretty sure I've seen this guy before somewhere. So here's the King of Wands, the Throne of Fire. Here is the Throne of Security. That's really interesting. I kind of really like this card. And I think King of Pentacles is a card, I'm going to pull up a whole bunch for you, because King of Pentacles is another one of, I'll show you the other one first before we do that. What did we miss? Oh, King of Swords as, okay, so what are you going to do with this one? We have moon and we have water in the background. To me, it looks like he's on a dock. So Jen says impairment sometimes. Yeah. Okay. So I want to look at the King of Pentacles, because I think this is, I think I wrote about this. I have a friend. I have a friend. Well, he's my friend too, my friend's husband. And he is the kind of guy that, so he has been a contractor, so construction contractor for a long time. He's had his own business, and now he's a contractor for a very high-end homes. And he also looks after and does a great job with the repairs and working around his family home. And he's the kind of guy that will also be in the kitchen and helping. And for sure, he's washing up the dishes, and he's got the dish towel over his shoulder and that kind of thing. And so he's definitely like crosses the boundary of both the King of Pentacles, who is connected to the tangible, connected to the earth, works in a job where there's a lot of money involved, but also very, very close to home and to family. And it's very, very few of these court cards do I know people who embody equally the shadow and the light of both of the courts. So I'm going to just grab all these Kings of Pentacles, because I think it's a really interesting archetype. One of the most interesting ones of these 16 courts. So here we have a chef in the urban. Do you guys like the lumina? So where are the kings? Some of them actually really do like. Here's the King of Pentacles here. I do actually like the symbology in that card. And let's go to Poppy's deck. King of Wands, King of Blades, King of Cups. I had it here. Where'd it go? Oh, I've already showed you that one. Okay. So which one haven't we looked at? Humphrey Bogart. Did I show you Humphrey Bogart? Yes. Do you guys think this one looks like Humphrey Bogart? I think this too, this couple here are really amazing. And the other thing that for me, oh, we'll look at the numinous too, because that takes us in a whole new ball game, is that in a deck, it kind of has to make sense about the pairs. You know, that it, for me, because if it doesn't make sense with the King and the Queen of Wands and so forth, it feels really weird. Like, I don't know, maybe not. 16 personalities, 16 archetypes. Are they all individual or do they come in pairs? And we've also talked about this too. We've talked about the relationship between the pages and the queens, and the relationship between the kings and the knights and the pages. So I wonder. So here's the numinous. Here is the creator and the mystic of tomes. And they don't appear to be connected. They aren't looking at each other. They appear to be completely separate archetypes and energies. So what's your take on that? Now let's look at some other kings and queens here. Mystic of candles, mystic of vials. Let's look at the cups, the vials. Where is the creator of vials? So here's the King and Queen of Wands in the numinous. Right? I'm just throwing these questions out there because I spend a lot of time looking, really, these glasses are so frustrating. I spend a lot of time when I'm doing a reading, seeing who's paying attention in the reading and who's looking at whom. And so is there a relationship with the family? So I'm going to go to all the coins. Let's go to the coins in the slow tarot. There's the page, there's the queen. Where is the Knight of Coins? Oh, that guy. And then we'll go to the Knight of Coins. The King of Coins is up here. That guy. Okay, so here's an example of, so here's the page and the Queen of Coins. You could kind of see them being mother and daughter. And I can definitely see them being mother and son. There's something about their attitude and their attachment to their abundance. All right, that queen feels very, very Las Vegas to me. And also kind of extroverted, and they're both outside. And look at how these three are all outdoors. They're all outdoors, but the energy of the king is locked up in the attic, which is, I don't know, I find that kind of strange. Because here we are in the suit of Pentacles, And at some layer, at some level, we're talking about the earth. We're talking about the smell of the dirt. We're talking about the relationship with plants and organic food and cooking and something somewhere. And yeah, Henry VIII here does have, grapes and things like that, but he's locked up in his attic. So I think on some level, this relationship in the suit, in each suit, is kind of important. And at least I want to have, I don't know, I want to have some kind of understanding. Ooh, I want to look at this one. He sent them out as he wanted to have some. And you're funny. Okay, so here we have blades, so swords, and Poppy Palin's deck. We have the scientist and the lawyer, or the judge, the lawyer and the scientist. So quite disassociated, right? Quite disassociated, which is not what Cristy. Ooh, let's go back to this question. Okay, swords. Sorry, I'm just playing here. Is this interesting at all to you guys? Swords. So we have page, knight, king, and queen of swords. Okay, so let's look at this badass suit here. So again, here's the page of swords. So we're back to the new Next World Tarot. Home of action. Here's the knight, which is the escape plan. Throne of truth. I don't think I've shown you her before. She's kind of badass. Throne of truth. And here is throne of knowledge. And none of you guys answered my question. I asked you, why is he in the moonlight? Why is he so cuppy? Why is there so much water? So that wasn't a rhetorical question, by the way. I did not have an answer, but I'm thinking that, so he's in the moonlight. And the truth, the real truth, the truth that we don't want to look at, the hard truth, right? That deep karmic truth is revealed in the light of the moon. It's revealed through the shadows. So maybe that's what that's about. What do you think? Oh, there you go, Corvin. Washing the dishes. So, and then let's look at them together, right? They're kind of an oddball family. What do you think? Do they look like a family? I really like this one. Huh. You know what that page of swords, what that energy feels like to me? So I don't know how many of you have been to India. So in India, there's a lot of unwritten rules based on culture, based on genealogy. So the long culture of a family. That's where the rules kind of come in. But there's no rules as far as driving goes, as far as in so many aspects of life. Very, very few rules. And you drive where you want to drive. And even though there's 2 lanes painted on the road, in India, there's 4 lanes. Usually there's like the pack animals and the camels and the cart drivers tend to go on one side, but not necessarily. And the little tuk-tuk things are kind of all racing in and out, dodging in and out. And so when I see this Page of Swords, it reminds me of that feeling of coming from a place where things are really, really chaotic, but somehow they work. And then you come back into a culture where everything is so structured. And it's like, I just want to cut through that. I just want to rip that fence down. We don't need that fence. We don't need that there. Why have you created that artificial boundary when it doesn't need to be there? And I think it's really funny because, sorry, this has got nothing to do with the court cards. This is a little rant that I'm going on, is because we think that our culture is so free, America, I'm in Canada, but America the beautiful, North America, the land of the free and opportunity, and things are so easy. But really, we have so much structure here. We have so many rules about where we can go and how you go. And for those of you, I'm like pre-COVID-19, even then, things were, anyway, my point is that this Page of Swords, in cutting through the unnecessary restrictions, I totally understand. I actually really like that card. I think that's one of my favorite court cards from that deck. So, whew. Sorry, that was a loud whew. Okay. So if it's really too bad this deck is out of print now. Do you guys have this one? This is Lisa McLaughlin's deck. And I hope she comes back and reprints it. And I hope she prints it on different paper this time. Let's look at these pages, because we didn't look at these pages. This one is a collage deck, of course. So I'm going back here. So Page of Pentacles, Page of Wands, right? And we did have the Page of Wands with the music in this one, right? So here we have the music and the creativity. This one is funny. This is Page of Cups, actually under the water. And the curiosity of the Page of Swords here. I guess what I want to ask you is this. I think the closest match to the Next World Tarot is the Urban Tarot. One, they both have a lot that's set in New York or the New York area. Both creators are from New York. As far as sexual diversity, LGBTQ+, I think the closest deck is definitely the Numinous. And then when we're looking at which deck compares as far as ability, disability, I think Textured Tarot does a really, really good job. So if you had to choose one contemporary, diverse, reality type deck, which one would you recommend? Like, what would be your number one? What would be your number two? If you have enough information, like which one would you recommend to somebody if they were looking for this kind of deck? I mean, and there are others too, right? There's this one as well too. There's this one. This is Luna's Soul. I mean, there are others. I mean, Fountain is definitely LGBTQ+. And I didn't show you this one. So, Ange, sorry, Ange, I was going too fast. I'll go back again. So as far as LGBTQ plus, I think Spirit Within, this one, which is in the title, so Next World, Numinous, Fountain. Fountain is definitely LGBTQ plus. So, but as far as disability goes, there's not too many. So I think we can look at Textured and the one that's in the title today, Next World. Ooh, okay. So yes, This Might Hurt. Is there disability in This Might Hurt? For sure, This Might Hurt is LGBTQ plus, for sure. Yes, here's the King of Swords in This Might Hurt. I don't know if he is the only one. I can't think off the top of my head. Okay. So what's your number one? What is your number two for what you would recommend? So Corbin says number one, Next World, two, This Might Hurt, and three, Urban. Yeah, I don't think, sorry, I'm just going through the Fountain because I thought the Fountain might be in this category, but it might be a little too, oops, let's go over here. This is the Fountain. So it's definitely, I don't know if there's disability in this one. There's definitely diversity of many kinds. Yeah. It's funny, I had this one out as a diverse deck. So here's another King of Cups that I think is worthy of conversation. What's with these messed up King of Cups energy? It's one of those cards, right? I used to be more in a little bubble. I used to be way more in the little bubble of, where'd he go? I used to be way more in the little bubble of this is the King of Cups energy, or Sasarabito. And lately, I feel like, I feel like there is a lot of, I don't know, maybe I'm just seeing it in a new way, or I want to see it in a new way. Hi, Emmy. We're just talking about diverse contemporary court cards. And yeah, so this is the Textured Tarot. Ange, this one. Yeah, so I'm hoping, so I'll just go through before I sign off. I'm just going to go through so you're clear about what's what here, because I've shown you a lot of different decks tonight, and I'm going to tell you what I like about each one and how each one kind of fits into this category. Okay, so this is the back. This is the Textured Tarot by Lisa McLaughlin, which definitely I think checks off a lot of boxes. Okay, so for age, culture, disability, body type, for sure. It has, so I can't think of a good example here, but definitely has diverse body type. Like everybody is not all stick thin. So I think the Textured Tarot is a really good diverse deck. Okay, so this one is the Urban Tarot. This is now a mass market deck, US Games mass market deck. I have not trimmed it. It comes this way. And this one is set in New York. So it's very much in the city. The knights, the kings are called knights, and the knights are called princes in this deck, which makes this deck a little bit interesting. So here, the Knight of Wands, which is the King of Wands. And so this is definitely a strong deck in the LGBTQ plus and body type for sure. And the other criteria, so demographics. So not everybody is right, different levels of income, and many different types of jobs, and people living on the street, and people who are living paycheck to paycheck, and people who are really well off. Okay, this deck is This Might Hurt. And I think of all the decks I've shown you tonight, this one is probably the closest to the Rider-Waite system. So definitely going to be the least confusing to read, because it's not based in New York City. There's not a lot going on in the background. So it's definitely going to be a lot easier to read. This one, where are we here? So this one I have trimmed. This is Poppy Palin's deck. This is called Everyday Enchantment. So I have trimmed on two sides. So I trimmed the long sides and I left the top and bottom on. And this one is based in the UK. But it has a lot of urban and also a lot of rural pictures as well too. And some of the scenes in the deck, it get very specific. This one checks off boxes for pretty much everything. Disability, age, diversity, LGBTQ plus. It must. Does it? Let me think. I'm trying to think. Does this deck? It must. I'm not sure, but it has some great cards that, I mean, there's quite a bit of disability in this one. Look at this King of Wands. Love this King of Wands. My favorite card in this deck is the Death card. Oh my God. So many things I like about this deck, but we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about all the decks on the table before I hang up here. Okay. This one is the Next World. So this is the deck that's in the title. This is the mini version that is matte. It's pretty much based in New York. And so this is the new version that's not shiny. The other ones are really big cards. And this one checks off a lot of boxes. But you have to, it's to me very apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic. Now this one is an indie deck. This is the Numinous. It is not matte. It is very shiny. It's still available. And very heavy in the LGBTQ plus. Super, I really like this spiritual, this creator of fire. So some of the cards are so, the whole thing about people hiding their spirituality, that kind of energy. This deck just celebrates spirituality in so many ways. I love that one. My favorite suit in this deck is the tomes, the books. Love, love the books. And this Creator of Vials is so special. So that's the Numinous. What haven't I shown you? This one here is the Slow. This is an indie deck. And I've done videos on this one. Okay, and then this one, you know what I like about this one? This is the Spirit Within, is that every body is in silhouette. And so you get a hint of the LGBTQ plus, you get a hint of body sizes. You are not sure what the culture is because everything is in silhouette. I mean, you can guess. I'm not sure if this one has varying abilities or disabilities. But this deck works really well if you don't know who you're reading for. This is one of those decks that is surprisingly versatile, as opposed to this one, which I find I mean, there's a lot of Barbies in this deck. A lot of Barbie dolls. I mean, that's a gorgeous, gorgeous card. I'll show you some of the cards I really like. I mean, this is, talk about passionate sexual Knight of Wands. Like, this is, whew. And I really do like this Knight of Wands. This is the Lumina Tarot by Laura Naletta. And it's funny because I know, do you guys know Kasha from Tarot Map? Have you seen her deck? She's actually drawn, I think it was this queen. She's actually drawn clothes on this queen to make her look bigger. Or no, it was this one. This is a queen. This is a queen. And I think she actually drew a robe on her to make her look bigger. But there's a few cards that are actually quite good in this deck. And that Knight of Swords is one of them. This Knight of Pentacles is quite good too. So why did I have this one out? Because it's very contemporary. But I don't think it's diverse at all. It's mostly white people. I think it's all white people. It's got a few different ages. So yeah. So I think that's everything I have shown you. We didn't look at Luna Soul, which is now out of print, but that is quite a diverse deck. And yeah, so that's everything I kind of have for you tonight. So do you guys have any final comments or questions? The Lumina, aka the LA deck. That's funny because it's isn't it Australian? Yeah. The Slow Tarot is awesome. Miley. Is it Miley or Mail? I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Welcome. I haven't seen you here before. Yeah, the Slow is really interesting. I've really enjoyed working with it, and I've been able to read with it very well. I like some of the subtle energy. Oh, you're welcome, Corbin. I'm just waiting to see if anybody has any questions. Like this Queen of Fire has her feet in fire. It's part of, you know, like a transformation ceremony, right? To actually walk through fire. I've worked with this deck quite a bit, so I've really gotten to know its subtleties. Yeah. You love the side-by-sides. So yeah, if you have any questions about any of these decks, let me know, or anything I've thrown out there. A lot of the questions that I've thrown out there were meant, you know, right, to provoke thought. I really like to have discussions about this. So if anything I brought up tonight, you know, something else comes to mind, let me know. And I'd love to chat with you in the comments below about it. So, well, I mean, you can always watch the playback, but yeah, so lots of food for thought. And I didn't, open New Era Elements. I mean, New Era Elements has lots of cultures and stuff, but they're very close up. And so we had enough decks to look at. So thank you. Thank you for being here, and I really appreciate it. And I'm going to be on live tomorrow too. So tomorrow I'm going to do my VR to Sandra at the Whispering Well. So I'm going to do my, oh my goodness, my lockdown helper video live tomorrow at noon Pacific time. So hopefully I'll see some of you there then. Okay. Stay well. And oh, did you talk about the Mermaid Tarot by Dave and by Dame Darcy? No, by Dave and Darcy. I think you mean Dame Darcy. I didn't bring in any mermaid decks tonight, so no, but I'm going to wind up here. So thank you all. And if you have more questions, like I said, you can start writing your comments down below right away. Thanks a lot. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Namaste.